John is here. John, this is a very special pie.
It's a dead easy pie. It's a lovely pie. It's not even a pie.
That's true.
It's a tart. But we've got to make it sound, well, not too posh. But it's a pear tart tatin, a spiced pear tart tatin. And I use shop-bought puff pastry because if you've got the time on your hands to make puff pastry,
then
you need to reassess where your life's going, I think. You know what I mean? Well, you do.
I think you're right. You're probably right.
So I've got shop-bought puff pastry. But first of all, I'm going to make a caramel because you can't have a tart tatin without a caramel. Now, people get afraid of caramel. I don't know why, they just do. But if you can fry a steak or a chicken breast, whatever, you can make a caramel because it's just a frying pan.
Right.
So I'm going to put some sugar in here. I've got golden caster sugar, but normal caster sugar would work fine, or even granulated. And I'm going to add some water. Now, when I add the water at this stage, you can stir it to dissolve the sugar in the water.
Right.
But when it starts to heat up, you mustn't stir it because what happens is the sugar, it crystallises, and when you start that chain reaction, it's just explosion of sugar. Never a bad thing, but you know, not when you're trying to make a tart tatin.
No. Okay.
So let that dissolve slowly, and then bubble that to a boil. Bring it to a boil, and it will slowly cook down into a golden caramel. Oh. So when it does, it gets to this sort of colour here. You can see it's a really dark amber colour.
Beautiful. It smells lovely.
What you do put in there as well at that stage, I should add, is some spices. So some cardamom, some star anise, and some what's that, cinnamon.
Love.
Just out of a jar, just chuck it in. You could customise it as well. I always say this, but you can customise anything.
Whatever you like.
So when it gets to this colour here, you need to add some butter.
Right.
So just unsalted butter, or if you wanted a salted caramel pear tart tatin, which I should have done.
Oh, that would be good.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Do you know, I love salty chocolate.
Oh, salted chocolate and salted.
It shouldn't go and it does.
It's perfect, isn't it? So put the butter in, but don't stir that because it could still caramelise at this stage. Sorry, crystallise at that stage, so don't stir it. Now for the pears, I've just peeled some conference pears. You could use the little smaller ones.
Right.
You could use pears from a jar, from a can, but they would mush down. These sort of keep the dignity and the integrity. we like a pear with dignity.
We do.
But what I've done is I've peeled those and I've just taken the middle out with a melon baller.
Yeah.
Just take the core out with one of those. But the peel, don't throw the peel away because what you can do is toss that in a bit of brown sugar and cinnamon powder. Yeah. And then in an oven about 150, dry it out. I know it sounds like a bit of a faff, but it makes a really lovely snack.
But that's a really lovely snack.
It's a really lovely snack.
But that's a really good idea because you don't want to be throwing things out.
Well, exactly. I mean, you could compost it if you've got a compost bin.
No, I'd rather make a snack.
I'd rather make a healthy snack. I mean, you know, you could make paprika pear pieces if you wanted to, if you like alliteration. So what I'm going to do is pop these pears hump side down in that caramel. You can hear it's fizzing, it's spattering, it's getting quite angry. But just ignore it. Just keep putting the pears in. And then if your pears were particularly firm at this stage, then you'd leave them in the caramel to cook for about 5 minutes or so. Okay. But these are quite ripe, so I'm going to put the pastry lid on and bang them straight in the oven. Wonderful. It takes about 30 minutes. And again, it's just shop-bought puff pastry.
This is easy. I thought this would be really difficult to do.
It's dead easy. It's dead easy. I've taken the spices out of this caramel. It's spitting. Right. Going all over my silk bomber jacket.
Oh, honestly.
All over it. But I've taken the spices out, put the pears in, and then I've just drawn around a plate, cut round a plate for my shop-bought puff pastry. And if you can find the all-butter puff pastry, it's a bit better. Right. All butter's always best, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to do is let that cool for a second, take it off the heat, and then just carefully, over a bit of stability, just tuck that in, and then with a spoon, just tuck that in around the edges. Clever. And the more rustic this looks, the better.
Yes, you know. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect.
We need to look lovely and rustic and edible and homemade. Exactly. And then that goes into the oven.
Really?
That's it.
Is that
all it is. Dead easy.
Brilliant. I was expecting something else.
It's easy. So into the oven about half an hour.
Half an hour, okay.
And then when you come back later, I'll try and flip it. It might go wrong, but
it doesn't matter.
We'll see.
Because you can still eat it.
You can still eat it.
It'll still be good.
You can still eat it.
John, thank you. That's brilliant.